Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome to the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Today is the 4th of July 2023. That means we are celebrating a birthday here, but of course, everybody who knows the 4th of July is always the Independence Day for the Americans. So happy Independence Day to the American people. Remember they got I think their independence around 4th July. That was in 1776. They've had a democracy of over 300 years. So that is something that you do not downplay. It is something that you actually have to support, or something that you have to credit and commend. So happy Independence Day to the American people. But of course, it's the birthday of my very good friend and colleague, Kamoga Franklin Gooding Jr. Yes, Kamoga Franklin Gooding Jr. He's live in San Francisco, California. Thank you so much for always tuning in, and of course, happy happy birthday to you in that particular regard. Welcome every one of you to this edition. Mwena mwebali eddala abatwekumiddeko enkya y'olunaku olwaleero ennaku z'omwezi ziri nnya omwezi tuli mu gwakasambula omwaka 2023 mawulire mangi ge tulina olunaku lwaleero naye era leero tugenda kubanga tutuuka ku ensonga gye tugenda okusinga okuba nga twettanira amakya g'olunaku olwaleero kwe kutunuulira kontinenti yaffe Africa efaanana etya olukalu lwa Africa kati alufaanana tetugenda kuba nga tutunula ku nsonga ez'enjawulo tujja tandikirako kale wali mu Bufalansa okwegugunga n'okwekalakasa gye kukyagenda mu maaso we tunaavaayo tujja kuba nga tutunulira ku stories ez'enjawulo Rwanda erina abarefugee beeri mu costing okuva e Bungereza oba e Bulaaya tujja kuba twogera ku nsonga eyo Rwanda efunamu etya era n'olunaku olwaleero tugenda kuba nga tutunulira omwami Sonko oyo ne opposition leader wa Senegal nga bagenda mu kalulu oba mu time ya politics kati oyo mwami no yakwatibwa ali mabega wa mitayimbwa Sonko tugenda kuba tumunyumyako ne Senegal awamu of course tutuneko n'ensonga za climate change of course climate financing okufuna ensimbi ezisobola okuba nga zirwanisa enkyukakyuka y'omu budde ensangi zino ekintu ekisinza okuba nga bannayuganda beetanira kyekintu kya climate change kubanga enkyukakyuka y'omu budde is a now problem edda twalowoozanga nti a problem of climate change is bigenda kujja maaso no kati we are in the future that means we have to lay a foundation if we are to fight the climate changes that are happening. Remember setting our goals basajja global organizations United Nations COP23 ezo conferences zonna twasalawo tugambe let's adapt the sustainable development goals by 2030 tubenga tuza achieve there is zero hunger, there is zero poverty bintu bingi ebiri mu mboze eyo tugenda kuba tubinyumyako mpola mpola tunafuna akadde tunalaba ku nsonga endala naye nga tetunagenda mu mawulire muzikirize bassebo ne bannyabo ngendeko mu mawulire amatonotono wano nga tetunagendako mu show muzikirize ngendeko mu mawulire mbabuli ebiki ebibadde gye mutabadde katandikireko wali mu UPDF President Museveni onono ye commander in chief of the Uganda People's Defence Forces yamaze okubanga awumuza ba generals oba generals abakunukiriza mu 10 kwabo ba generals mwenda be ba full generals mu abamanyi ranks z'amagye omanyi rank ya general etandikira ku brigadier kastova ku kano n'ogenda ku brigadier oyo general then waliwo major general waliwo lieutenant general then ne full scale general otunulamu awo President Museveni kuba general be yawumuza ba full scale general mwe mwabadde General Kaihura Kalekezi kale omwami oyo naye kyaddaaki yamaze n'abanga awumuzibwa ku mbeera eno omwami ng'ovudde ku omwami Kaihura abalala abaliko Lieutenant General James Nakibas Lakara, Major General Samuel Waswa Mutesasira, Major General Joseph Arocha, Major General David K. Wakalo, Brigadier General Austin Kasatuoki Kamanyire, Brigadier General Stephen Oluka, Brigadier General Frank Katende Chambade, Brigadier General Emmanuel Kwihangana, Brigadier General Wilson Mohabuzi, then ne Brigadier General Ham Natwoki Kaija. Ndoza bamu kuba awumuziddwa okuva mu magye. Jukira ensonga esinza okubanga ekwata bannayuganda omubabiro okuwumuzibwa kw'omwami Kale Kaihura nonno ndoza mujjukire emabega kaawo omwaka ndoza gwalinga gwa 2016 omwami ono yaguzibwako emisango oba bamuteekako emisango egy'enjawulo omwali okubanga yalemererwa okukuuma war materials okulemererwa okusupervisinga abapoliisi n'emisango emirala gye bamuteekako gy'okubanga yabusinga we yali mu tenure ye eya office. Kale Kaihura emisango gino tegyamuka muvi era kyategeerekese nti president yasobodde okubanga amwejjeereza ku misango gino. Jukira president yakkirizibwa okubanga ajjako omuntu omusango mu kye bayita presidential prerogative of mercy. So mu mbeera eyo tukitegedde nti kati Kale Kaihura takyali serving UPDF officer naye ajja kujjukirwa nnyo ng'omu ku bantu abasinga okubanga bajjukirwa mu bapoliisi baamuno oba mu ba IGP. Omwami oyo yabeera ku ntebe eyo ndozo okuva mwaka gwali gwa 2005 paka mwaka gwali gwa 2016 omwami Kale Kaihura yaweereza nnyo era ajja kujjukirwa nnyo okubanga yalemesa zi walk to work protests era yali musajja muzibu nnyo eri retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye. So oyo ye Kale Kaihura Kalekezi mu mbeera eyo yennyini. Munsikirize tugendeko mu mawulire amalala. Rasto Kalanzi oyo nno mumujjukira muvubuka ya recordinga ka TikTok video era nga TikTok alukulu ya recordinga ka video ng'alaganga bwe baali emabega wa temu eyali wali kasente omwafiira abayizi 37 n'abantu abalala basaalumanya abantu 6. Ndowooza twazeemu okufuna amawulire waliyo n'emirambo emirala gye basanze mu camps za ADF ez'enjawulo kwegamba oba bazeemu ndowooza toto y'abantu abafiira mu njege eyo eri 45. Mu mbeera eyo Rasto Kalanzi ya recordinga ka TikTok video nga yeeraga ng'alaganga we yali emabega wa obulumbaganyi buno ekyaleetera abantu ab'enjawulo okubanga baraisinga flags mu mbeera eyo yennyini. Rasto Kalanzi bamuremandinze paka wali erugazi prison na 7 omwezi guno gwennyini ogwakasambula. Tujja kubanga tukubuulira biki ebinaaba bivudde eyo mu mbeera. Ziri 13 ezakayita ku ssaawa 2 ez'okumakya. Nze Edgar Matthew Karuhango okubanga nkuweereza amakya g'olunaku olwaleero. Poliisi yo egambye eri bulindaala oluvannyuma lwa abasajja abangereza okubanga batulabula nti Uganda eyinza okubanga erumbibwa essaawa yonna, abaterrorist bayinza okubanga bagirumba oba bannalukalola. Omwami Fred Enanga ayogerera poliisi ya kuno olunaku lw'eggulo yadde mu press briefing wali enaggulu yakakasizza nti yes amawulire bagawulya era bali bulindaala bagenda kukola buli kimu kye basobola okubanga bakola okubanga basobola okubanga bakuuma bannayuganda mu mbeera eyo yennyini. Ye IGG mukyala Betty Kamya yamaze dde okukakasa bannayuganda nti atandise okubanga anoonyereza ku bubbi oba corruption obuli mu Ministry of Energy. Akakasa nti nno mulimu nno obubbi bungi mu sekita eyo oba mu ministry eyo ey'amafuta n'ebintu ebyenjawulo energy generally. So yagambye agenda atandika okubanga anoonyereza mu sekita eyo mu ministry eyo alabe asobole okubanga afunayo abantu basobola okubanga abuuza kajoji w'ebibuuzo okubanga basobola okwetebyako mu mbeera eyo yennyini. So katulinde tulabe IGG no ensangi zino abadde yeetanidde okubanga akola omulimu gwe okunoonyereza kubadde kugenda maaso nzikali mu Office of the Prime Minister. Abantu 7 balindoza kati mu kkomera ssaawa zino twogerera babakanya n'emisango gy'okubanga babuzaawo obuwumbi 4.5 obwa siringi za Uganda. Ezo sente zaali za kuyamba abantu b'e Karamoja wali naye waliwo abasobola okubanga bazeddiza mu mbeera eyo. So IGG ye omulimu gwe agezezzaako okubanga agukola. Emekakaawo yakakasa bannayuganda nti tasobola kubanga akola guno omulimu nga bannayuganda tebasobodde kubanga bamuyamba mu mbeera eyo. Yakakasa nti ye corruption ne banne si kye kintu kyosobola okugamba nti kiba affectinga nnyo. Corruption eyaffectinga muntu wa wansi. Omukyalo ono kye yakakasa. Ndowooza kati omuntu wa wansi weetegedde kola kyonna ky'osobola okubanga olemesa obuli bw'enguzi obwekyangidde obweyongedde mu ggwanga lino erya Uganda. Ndowooza wawulira nti buli mwaka every financial year tuluzinga trillions 10. Ezo zibeera ssente nnyingi nnyo ddala okubanga zibula mu mbeera eyo yennyini ebanga tetegeerekese. Tuveeko kaawo tugendeko ku Constitutional Court. Olunaku lw'eggulo kooti yazzeemu okubanga ewulira omusango gwa omwami Francis Zaake Mutebi. Francis Zaake ono nno yagenda mu kooti okubanga awakanya okumujja mu ntebe y'obwa commissioner wali mu parliament. Omwami oyo yagenda alaga obutali mu mativu bwe. Jjukira ono yafunamu enjawukana wakati we ne speaker oluvannyuma lw'okuwandiika ebigambo ebimu ku social media ye. Speaker kye yalabanga ekyali kimuvoola ekivoola n'ekitiibwa kya parliament. Omukyalo ono yavaayo ne banne ababaka ba NRM n'abalala ne basayininga petition yali ejja obuyinza oba yali ejja omwami Francis Zaake mu kifo kino ekya Commissioner of Parliament. Jjukira ono abeera alondebwa opposition. So oluvannyuma lw'okumugjamu obwesige abantu ab'enjawulo ba advising omwami ono nga omu kwabo ye lawyer we Elias Lukwago asobole okubanga agenda n'anoonyerezako mu mbeera eyo. So yagenda naggulawo omusango wali mu Constitutional Court era olunaku lweggulo batandise okuddamu okuguulira. Baali baguulira mu kusooka naye tebagumala tegwaggwayo because abamu ku ba judges ku Court of Appeal baali bagiddwako nga bateereddwa ku Supreme Court, so nga tebakyasobola kubanga bawulira musango gw'ono omwami. So oluvannyuma olwo twalabye nga kati batandise okuddamu okubanga baguulira. Ye Elias Lukwago munnamateeka wa Francis Zaaka akakasa nti engeri gye bamugjamu obwesige teyali nnungamu bulungi, teyali ntuufu, ba breakinga kye bayita rules of procedure, engeri parliament gyekolamu emirimu ne irregularities zaali nnyingi nnyo ezibeesinga decision making eno. So yakiwakanya era alowooza kooti esobola okuba nga ewulira ensonga zaabwe kubanga yakkiriza waliwo ensonga gy'alina okuba nga attaanya bulungi mu mbeera eyo yennyini. Ndowooza ngenda kumaliriza ne story ya omwami Fred Enanga. Fred Enanga era olunaku lweggulo wali mu kwogera kwe okwa wiiki yakakasiza nti oba ogenze n'onoonyereza ku ndagabutonde yo n'omwana wo tekiba kirungi kubanga results ozasanguza publicly. Yagambye nti kino temumanyi engeri gye kiyisaamu baana bato ne mental health yaabwe. Jjukira emabegako mu Uganda wano kibadde kikyase nnyo abantu okugenda bakebeze endagabutonde zaabwe nga abamu bagamba nti abaana bebadde bakuza badde si baabwe era abasinga results ebadde bafuna ndowooza 80 ku buli 100 zibadde ziraga nti abaana abo tebabadde baabwe. So omwami Fred Enanga agamba mbu kino wadde nga kiyamba omuzadde okufuna clarity naye kirina engeri gye ki affectingamu omwana kubanga ye abeera mwana muto ate abeera saalumanya oba naalumanya mu mboozi zino ezammwe abazadde. So ndowooza tutwale amagezi ga omwami ono Fred Enanga tulabe engeri gye sobola okuba nga tulekera awo embeera eno etali nnungamu bulungi. Bannange munzikirize enkome wano ku ddakiika 19 ezakayita ku ssaawa 2 ez'okumakya. Tulina omwami bamuyita Thomas Lesaffre ndowooza wali that's how they pronounce it. Musajja Mufaransa naye researcher is a lecturer as well era musajja asomeseza mu masettendekero ag'enjawulo naddala e Bufaransa mu South Africa abaddeko ne wano mu Uganda era wakyali paka ssaawa zino. Yagala nnyo ebintu bya climate change naye olunaku lwali tugenda kuba nga twogera ku nsonga ezikwata ku Ssemazinga wa Africa. Tusobola tutya okukyusa Ssemazinga waffe abeere mulungamu bulungi asobole okuba nga akulaakulana nga continents endala wezikulaakulana. Katuwumulemu katono we tunaakomawo tugenda tutandikira awo wennyini nnyina Farida Bikobere n'omwami Thomas wano.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Don't miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday, Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take two. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704111720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings. Looking for a pair of shoes? Lesaffre Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality. Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes, it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
I am with Edgar Matthew Karahanga, and we are going to be talking about global trends. What is happening in the whole world, not in Uganda specifically, but the whole world. We will be cutting across the African continent and maybe the UK and US. So I will ask you to tune in the comment section. Please type in your questions. I'll be reading them one by one in our second hour. I am Farida Kovere. Our quote of the day is, inspiration comes within yourself. One has to be positive. When you are positive, good things happen. Inspiration comes within yourself. One has to be positive. When you are positive, good things happen. So it has to begin within you, your mindset. You should be thinking positively. I have always preached about the bad thoughts, the bad mindset. Please don't allow the negative mindset within you. When you allow it, you are not going to get anything good, because everyone you approach something with a negative attitude, you are not going to get any good thing from it. Good morning, Edgar.
Good morning.
Please
to
take
you.
the prerogative.
Thank you so much.
Welcome our guest.
Thank you so much, Farida. That means you're saying something that is pertinent, that inspiration should come from really within.
Exactly.
You're not inspired from without, from the things that are around. Yes, they can give you a bit of inspiration, but it's going to be you to start, you to have the discipline to do, to continue, and then to finish up.
Exactly.
And there's an old man I listened to in a video who says that the top of another mountain is the beginning of another one.
Yeah.
So you finish this mountain, you've not yet finished until you're 6 feet under. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas is already here in studios. Thomas is a researcher, he's a lecturer. He has been in various countries on the continent. He has served, he's from France originally, but of course he has been in South Africa. He is in Uganda. He has taught various people. So today, we're going to be touching base on some of the global trends that we are having. Really, we are going to go to as many parts of the continent as we can to really try to find a way we can build an Africa that is better for all of us. We're going to be using the English language since Ruchiga is not something.
Not yet, not yet. give me some time.
Ruchiga is not your cup of tea.
It's coming.
So we shall really touch base on that. You're welcome, Thomas.
Thanks so
it's
much.
It's a privilege to have you again.
Thanks so much for inviting me again, and thank you for coming with such important questions.
Sure. So, how is everything? How was your week generally in UK?
No, it's everything is okay. It's my second month here in Uganda on the
Second
road,
month.
right?
Oh.
It's just the beginning, so I'm learning a lot.
Okay.
Right now, I'm learning about Bunyoro. Not sure I fully get it yet, but definitely slowly.
You know,
but
I am a
surely.
princess from Bunyolo.
Is it? Okay.
I can speak that there is no evidence that I know apart from her saying it.
Edgar, you don't need evidence.
But it's
you are
okay.
not my dad.
Let me believe her. Thomas, let's dive into it. Let's first go back home. What is happening in France right now? You want to paint a picture for our listener, our viewer, to just know how is Paris today, Lyon and Marseille?
So Paris this morning smelled like a strong smell of smoke. Paris is a bit on fire, but not just Paris. A lot of city around France where riots has emerged like 5 days ago. After a policeman, two policemen tried to stop a car, a man driving a car, to ask for his driving license, and the man do not have his driving license. His name is Naël. He's 17 years old, so according to French law, he's not allowed to drive. He's not supposed to be driving at 17 years old. So the policeman asked him to stop. He refused to stop, and he accelerates, and while he accelerates, the other policeman shot him and killed him. So in a space of 15 to 20 seconds, the car started driving funny and crashed on a building. So we hear of the story in France, and they said like it was legitimate defense. Legitimate defense, right? When you defend yourself because you are attacked, right? So that was the original idea of the police. But it came out that a citizen, like always, I think it's very important also that our listeners understand that it's important to be able to record police authorities, army, and forces like this, because it tells another story, right? So some activists were there, some random person actually, and also recorded the scene, right?
Yeah.
And then we can see directly that the policeman shot the man and is not threatened at all by the car. He's on the left of the car and is shooting. So a lot of people have seen those images and get really angry. And there is a rise of violence in politics in Western Europe since the last 10 years, and it's another manifestation. A few years ago in France, we have the yellow jackets that were burning, trying to make the Eiffel Towers burn, and the Arc de Triomphe, a major like symbol of the French state. Now it's another type of riots because it's way much more within the working class, within the youth, within the ghetto as well. So it's more similar to what we observe in the US with the death of George Floyd than what have happened in France previously.
Okay, but just to paint a picture for the people who are listening to us, France is a country that has been welcoming a lot of foreigners. So you realize Naël, the gentleman that we're talking about, the young boy that we're talking about, that was shot, is from an Algerian heritage, right? So he's not originally from France, and
was the policeman arrested or something?
The policeman is definitely in jail. I'm quite happy about that. It went pretty quick in 24 hours. We don't have as much problem as the US to put a policeman in jail in France. So that's that was the good news. But what you're referring to is really important.
So that's the main issue, really, why the insurrections were there, because he's from a foreign country, and people, I think most of the people were foreigners who have been in these particular uprisings.
So he's not a foreigner. I think we need to be clear on that. He's born in France. He has the French nationality. He passed most of his life in France. But his parents were Algerian and Moroccans, right? Like you can imagine here, some people have a father from Uganda and a mother from Rwanda. The 90s were like this, right? So when you say France have welcomed a lot of foreigners, we need to kind of backpack a bit that. I want to unpack that a little bit because it's just slightly more complex. Because I don't know exactly about Naël's history, but I'm almost sure that not his father, but his grandfather was probably inside North Africa. And in order to rebuild France after the Germans had destroyed it with a lot of bombs during the Second World War, we had to rebuild France, and we needed some workers, right? And so France came to take workers in Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia, in all of their colonies, but especially Morocco and Algeria. So a lot of those, the people that came, they came uneducated. They came as workers. They didn't really have a nice life. We're speaking of an immigrant type of life.
Yeah.
They were living in shacks. They were living in informal settlement. So Nile I don't want to speak for him, right? But he's definitely part of a history of relationship between French Empire and France, right?
Yeah.
And that's why also a lot of people recognize themselves in that history, because they say, listen, if they do that to him, they can do that to us.
To us, yeah.
And then they really write about that. There's way much more police brutality towards French citizens that aren't white like me than towards French citizens that are white like me. I remember myself as a young man in France, policemen would often pretend to stop you, to ask for your ID. But what they were really doing is trying to arrest the guy after you. But the guy after you is Arabic, Muslim, or black. So they would try to get a white person first, and so they can justify they go on the second one, right? So what's happening is there's more poverty in the what we can call the post-colonial French population, blacks, Arabs, Muslims. There's more poverty in those populations, and so policemen are also targeting them higher in everyday controls, right? And sometimes it turns out to go really wrong, like last week.
Wow, that is saddening indeed. But this particular uprising has not been seen in France in a while.
2005.
Yes, so last was 2005, really. So it has not been happening in a while. Why is this time different, really? Is it because this boy was underage? Is it maybe the circumstance, really? What makes these uprisings different, or why come now at a point like this one?
Let me answer with a bit of a joke. We are all responsible for what's happening, in the sense of what we are doing right now. Right now we're on the social media. I understand. Right,
yes,
we're using a worldwide platform to try to spread our ideas.
Yeah, true.
That's also happening right now in France, and the capacity of 2023 are that every young person from 12 years old to 18 years old have the capacity to speak with everyone he wants, to record and shows everything, right? So we have also a phenomenon on which like social media fuel what's happening, right?
Yeah.
It has always happened, but the difference was that it was in 2005, for example, the riot you're referencing, it was your hood, like you were rioting in your hood. So I remember that time I was myself 18, 19. The riot was in the hood, like people were making sure the police don't come in, or the authority or the politicians, things like this, they were burning. But now today, it's not in your hood anymore, it's digital.
Yeah,
so you can, if you burn a car, a police car, right, in the center of Paris, now people in Lyon, Marseille, and everywhere around France will know about it. And so I think the real difference here is that it is booming way much more, it's blowing way much more, because we have more image, so it also encourage more people to try to do the same. Oh, look, it looks cool to do this. They do it in Paris, let's try to do it in the south or something like this.
Social media has been promoting, really.
Yeah, and it has a lot more exchange between rioters, and more techniques are exchanged. But also like the level of violence is something unseen. And as an analyst, you can say it's because of that population, it's because of those young people are more violent. But you can also realize that violence is everywhere across French society right now. If you look at the last season of football, as you know, I like football a lot, there were a lot of cases of games that were stopped because fans enter the pitch or start to fight each other too hard or throw stuff on the pitch, which was not happening 5 or 6 years ago. As I said also, we had the movement of the yellow jacket a few years ago. So a lot of analysts say that something happened during COVID where we lost some part of the population get attached to social media and not so much to their family, not so much to real society anymore. And then they're going wild. They are more isolated than they used to be, and therefore more able to do what a small group of people, a small clique, a small circle of people would allow to do.
So in that case, is social media doing good or bad?
Listen, without social media, we would not speak about it today, most probably. I don't think, I'm sure you have seen some of those videos already, right?
The video leaked.
That's
right.
right.
I think that's what
and as journalists, you know that it's not that easy to go that close to the event. So in one hand, we speak about it, but in the other hand, I haven't heard like particular solution. It's not like the French president have come with a strong political agenda that will change the situation. So social media are good to raise questions. Are they good to find the answers? I'm not sure.
Okay. You've talked about the president, Emmanuel Macron.
Yes.
When he had just come out, he mentioned something that was pertinent, and he first criticized the policeman who had done what he had done, right?
Correct.
A few hours down the road, he turns the guns towards the people themselves. What is Emmanuel Macron to do in such a scenario? Is he being hypocritical because the police officers were saying, hey, you're now taking on the judge and the jury. You're now becoming the judge, you're now becoming the justice system. You have already criticized the gentleman who is alleged to have really killed this boy, and the circumstances are all shady, but you've come out to, so the police was against him, now even the people are also against him. So where does Emmanuel Macron stand? Where is his value now, really?
It's a good question. So you basically tell me between the rioters and those that are against the riot, where does he stand? Listen, at the beginning the story is clear. There's a man that fucked up. There's a policeman that killed a 17-year-old. You don't decide to kill a 17-year-old, even if he does stupid things. That's what you do at 17. That's okay, right? So it stated clearly that was a policeman mistake. So a lot of it was quite quiet at the time. People were not complaining so much about that. But then what happened is the second phase of the protest, where people came on the street, where people start to burn buses, they start to burn municipality. They start to attack police stations. A lot of courage in that new generation. Total police stations, right? So then, when the opposition start to say no, this is not appropriate. It should not be. It should not be that we policemen kill someone. The justice will do his work, but you cannot like start to burn your schools, your libraries, your municipalities.
They've done nothing. Your neighbor's car, really. What has it done to violence?
It's a common trend. I remember commenting that in South Africa, in the biggest Johannesburg township called Alexandra, where people start to burn their school. We wake up a morning and the news was Alex is burning their school. I was like, wait, like why? Like this is one of the poorest part of the country. They should be happy to have school, right? That's the first reactions. What we don't realize is that if they don't burn their school, if they don't start burning, no one is listening to them. So we're speaking about it also today, and we're asking what are the solutions for Macron and all of this, also because there's that level of violence, right? If there were only a march in Paris between the cemetery, the cave, and maybe like the office of the president, no one would really think about it, right? So violence have also become a way to be heard. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. It shows that our political institutions don't really function well because the voice of the youth are not properly heard. But it is a reality. It is a reality. We have to take violence as a political phenomenon and not just saying we are against violence, it's bad. No, it reveals something.
Violence speaks.
Yeah.
So really, to put it clear, what is happening in France happens here in Uganda. If you do the positive means, the peaceful way, they will not hear you. You do the violence way, the violent way. You do put down schools, go and attack the police, then the government will hear you.
But I wanted to ask you guys, I don't know if I can also reverse a bit
the
game, but Uganda is experiencing inflation, right? As far as I understand, the prices are higher than they were last year.
That's true.
The inequality also are growing, right? I have noticed some amazing 4x4 in Kampala.
Yes.
Some people might have a lot of cash. They're beautiful, eh? In Senegal, we'd call that the 8x8. So it's really large, really big. A lot of money is there.
That's true.
So we have the same phenomenon where the poor are the lowest class of the society are suffering from inflation, so they eat less, they have less nutrients, they have less entertainment, they have less enjoyment in their life. And then the other spectrum of the class system, the rich are living their best life. We see them with their big 4x4, traveling the world, side chick in every country. It is the reality. And so do you think that such... Because my argument is to say when you have this situation and the political spectrum is closed because the politics are closed, then riots are emerging. Do you think it's possible in Uganda, or the security system is too strong here?
I think it's not that strong, but it's the people themselves who have not yet really decided to stand up for themselves, because let me tell you, even if you had a militia that is as big as what, if the populace decided, you would not stop them. You remember what happened in George Floyd, the instance. You remember
even here in South Sudan.
yeah, even so it's just the people who have not yet really awoken to the to what they have to do, or what they can do, or what they are capable of, with the strength they have. But in case they did, personally, this is my personal opinion, I believe there is no amount of soldier security personnel that can really stop them. Personally, that's my perspective. I don't know what Farida thinks.
I agree.
So you're saying that if there is a riot movement or political movement that turn violent, the security apparatus will not be able to stop it?
Yeah. The only challenge is because we have at what cost? Some
I don't think
here.
Ugandans are ready to take that path.
Yeah, but I'm saying, okay, they could and they would win, I'm sure, but at what cost? Because even the cost would be high. I'm going to give you an example, because this is on record. Around 2020 November, there were mass killings of Ugandans, and many people were shot. But these, according to the people who shot them, they were protesting and things like that. But when you realize and you look at the substance of the protest, it was not really a protest that would really move, that would change a lot. But the violence that was meted on these people, in fact, some of them were not even in the protests themselves, but how they were killed, they were shot, and 54 people, according to government, at least that is confirmed, 54 people died there and then. So if 54 Ugandans can die and nobody says anything, that also speaks to the violence that can be meted on someone. So whereas the riots would find ground, people would stand for themselves. The only challenge would be their counterpart. How far are they willing to go? Because we saw in 2020 that they are willing to kill 50 Ugandans and nobody is going to be charged. In the space of 2 days. So
2 days,
at what cost?
Yes,
but let me come to my other question. This gentleman who killed Nael was charged first with manslaughter. That means, for Ugandan out there who does not know what manslaughter, this person killed them out of by mistake. Let's just say that's like manslaughter. You've not intentionally.
It wasn't intentional.
It wasn't intention to kill this person. But do you believe it was manslaughter really, or it should have been murder, first degree?
I think also taking in consideration what you just said, it's important to recognize that we have a justice system that works better than in other places. The French have a justice system. It have to be quick. We need a quick answer. By
all places system. We are not sure.
Yeah,
that one is your opinion. But let's continue.
Okay, but so the justice system, is not perfect, but at least it's working a bit, and so I imagine that the policeman will be judged fairly, and that he will have the right to defend himself, and there will be a trial. I have seen the scene. What I can tell you about the French police is that the French police is getting more and more involved into structural racism. It is proven that certain policemen, not all of them, but exchange some ideas that are far right ideas, right? So the fascists you would call them, right? So it is clear that there's a gap that is growing between the policemen and the population. And as I said, French society is becoming more and more violent in every sphere of the society. And so it's been 3 months that France is experiencing strong social mobilization against the new retrenchment law that also have earned a lot of things. French like to riot. It's been since 1789. Even myself, as a French person, I've seen a lot of those riots, way much more than anyone else. So they know how to like it's a situation that people are used to. But
they know how to take the law into their hands.
Yeah. Like I'm happy to be able to come here on this show and tell you no one else have been killed in those riot nights. There were no other people shot, and I think that's an evidence that things are getting better. But I want to say, to be fair, that policemen are really tired right now because the president is passing a lot of laws that are unpopular. And so a lot of people are in the street in that long French tradition of marching, and then policemen are fronting them, and the level of violence is rising up. So that policeman, a lot of people are saying, was simply tired. Not, maybe simply is not the right word, but if you have been working for the last 2 weeks, and then suddenly there's a 17 years old that disrespect you and say, nah, I'm not going to stop because you're a policeman, I'm going to continue straight. He shot. I'm not saying it was it was a great idea. Clearly, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that we have a problem that is larger. Like the politicians are pushing reforms that are against the people. The people are fighting, but they don't fight the politician. They fight the police, and the police are at the receiving end of all that violence. So I don't know what the justice will say. I hope it will be fair for the family of Nahel. His mom only have one son, so a lot of people were really sad about that. But I also know that I also know those are dynamics. So if we don't want to be here in 6 months speaking of the same topic, we need to look at the dynamics, not just at the individuals. Why are policemen tired? Why is that young man so confident to front the police? What is it that he has seen?
And it wasn't his first time, apparently. Him, disrespecting the police, hitting traffic lights. I think there are some charges, but of course they are not a basis
People
for
said he
taking
has
someone's life.
No, never. People said he has stopped going to school because of COVID as well. So it's part of that lost generation. People call them the lost generations now. Those that never came back to school after COVID. It's complicated to say at this level of details, but definitely we have a situations where democratic states are less and less capable of handling the violence that their society produce. And it's important we realize that, because the violence of the global north have often also impacted the south.
Of
right?
course,
So
most of the time.
We look at it, because when rioters get more violence, policemen get more violence, the army get more violence.
You can't run.
You know that here. You know that in this.
But in the end, it is the people that are being affected. I want us to cross from France to Senegal. Let's look at the politics in Senegal. The opposition leader was arrested. I want us to juxtapose the politics in Senegal to the rest of the African countries. Is there a statement that I'm making? Is there any difference? Are there similarities that we are going to look at? And then maybe we say, okay, what is happening there happens in Uganda, it has happened in Congo, or even in Rwanda.
It was in 2002, if I'm correct, or 2003, when Museveni decided to change the constitution, the 1995 constitutions, to that says you only have 2 terms, right? And then he changed it to say, no, we need more, right? To govern. Senegal have decided not to do that. Senegal have decided to stop where, imagine in Uganda, what would have happened if we had another leader for the past, since 2005 or something like this. It would have been another story for the country, right? So, President, I'm really, really happy to be here to speak about that. I'm really, really happy. I was myself a student in Senegal in the last big election, right? So the last election, I was a political student observing the election and trying to understand. The previous president was doing the exact same thing. He was trying to change the constitution in order to stay for a third term. He managed to push, and he forced Senegalese to go to the street. He forced Senegalese to paralyze the whole country, to stop the whole country. So he accepted not to go, right? It happened also now in 2012. Now in 2023, here is a president, well respected, right? Remember, there's so much coup d'etat right now in West Africa. Maybe we won't speak about that, but Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea Conakry. Civilian leaders are not a thing. Those people are saying, no, civilian leaders aren't going to make it. We need military leaders to front the situation. And Senegal, once again, right, is saying, no, we're setting another path. We stay committed to our value, to our constitutions. Another leadership will raise, he will do as good as I have done, and we will continue in that path of stability. If you have the chance to go to Senegal one day, and I really wish you that, you will see that Senegalese are also really proud of being one of the few African countries that had never experienced a coup d'etat, never experienced a rebellion.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So there is no such thing as a civil war in Senegal that take over power, right? And we know from Uganda how difficult are those situations, right? When a military decides to overthrow an entire government and do its own things, it's really complicated, right? So Senegal is that gigantic democracy located in a space where democracy is not so much on the rise, right? West Africa, okay, we have good election in Nigeria now. We have had some elections in Ivory Coast, but Ivory Coast also, the president have gone through a third term when the constitution say only 2. But unfortunately for him, the man that was supposed to succeed him in Ivory Coast died 2 months before the election, so the president came and third term. So if we don't want to re-enter that winter politics, I call it like this, winter politics, where the presidents stay in power so long that they lose grip with their population, where they come from. That's the problem. That's the problem. I don't think Macky Sall is irrelevant as a politician right now. The contrary, he has a lot of experience now, so probably there's a lot he knows how to do. But we also know that if a politician don't have a strong hold on the society that is governed, he's going to lose it. He's going to lose sense of reality, and he's going to become a trader, trading, I don't know, petrol for foreign money or foreign investment or whatever. But he will lose grip on the reality. And Macky Sall yesterday, and I'm really, really pleased to say that here, I've decided not to go that way. There were gigantic riots in Dakar because the main opponent is trying to enjail his main opponent. That's what people are claiming. He has not been able to do so far, but a lot of people are saying that the situation was explosive. Once again, we in Uganda, we can compare, right? Yes. We are in a situation where there is a Bobby Wine in Senegal, right? I'm making a comparison. There is a Bobby Wine, right, in Senegal, and there is a Museveni. But rather than Museveni saying, I'm going to crush Bobby Wine and stay in power, Museveni is saying, I'm going to wait, justice is going to be done to be sure that this is not a criminal, but I'm not going to represent myself, so he can take the seat.
Oh, okay.
It's not as clear as that because it's an election, right? Senegalese will vote, but that's the situation. There's a man, a big opposition leader. A lot of people believe he's going to win the next elections, or Sonko. The current president tried to put him in jail, but it's not working so far for small political actions, and he's not going to present himself against him. So he led the place, and it's a proper moment where politics can happen, where people can properly debate without being excluded.
Let's speak to Sonko, the political leader. This,
yes.
First of all,
you would love him.
Of course, I love him. I already love him.
No, I don't know about you yet.
So Sonko is a young man. He represents what many Africans are going through.
100%.
Yeah, Sonko has come out. He was, by the way, charged. For those who are just watching us, Sonko, the opposition leader in Senegal, was charged with rape. But recently absolved from rape. But of course, he remained with the charge of misleading the youth, something like that. So he's still under.
Be careful! Don't fall into misleading the youth.
Maybe. So Thomas, let's speak to this man before you go for a break. What is so special about
Sonko? So I remember as a followers of Senegalese news since I used to live there, and I often go back that side. Sonko is an auditor in the tax revenue system, right, of Senegal. So Sonko is who? Sonko is someone that makes sure, at the first point, is someone that makes sure money is spent properly by the state. So when the state says we're giving that youth development program 2 billion shillings, we have the 2 billion shillings that arrive where the program is supposed to happen, right? Yeah. And so in his career, he developed his career, he's become really, really good, so he raised up, he arrived to 35, 36, and then he's like, the more I raise up, the more there's problems, the more I see corruption, the more I see money disappearing. And he refused that. He said, no, a country like mine cannot afford to waste his money. We don't have as much money as we can afford to lose it. When we have a plan, we better execute it, right? And so he went to politics saying that. I'm not a traditional politician. I'm not here to govern the country with a political party like others have done. But I am clean. My hands are clean. Everyone knows, and everyone knew. Like, it was funny because even people that knew him personally would say, no, he's rigorous. He has that rigorous element. And then some people were even debating, you can't be a politician when you're so rigorous. You need to, do a bit of this and that. But he has that rigors, and he has portrayed himself as the anti-corruption hero, right? And Senegal is not as corrupt as certain countries of the continent. It's not as bad. But once again, Senegalese are really involved inside in the democratic life, and so when there is cases, even if the numbers aren't big, it's really a shame. It really looks bad. So Sonko have spoke of the corruption of the regime, but also, as you said, he have represented the new generations. I think that's what people want to see. Macky Sall is born in colonial time. He's more of a leader like Bobby Wine, that generations of leadership that have only experienced post-colonial drama or post-colonial problems and post-colonial leadership, and that is tired of certain of the practice. They're trying to reform, right? So that new generation is interesting. I found them interesting. If you, I'm sure most of your listeners will know them, but Julius Malema of South Africa, Ousmane Sonko of Senegal. Imam Dicko in Burkina, there is that leadership. I don't know, who would you say is like this in East Africa, or maybe in Kenya?
In Kenya, there is no, you can also say Babu, we know, but really no.
Yeah.
In East Africa, we may not have, but also in Zimbabwe, there is one.
Pastor.
I'm forgetting the name.
But there's definitely that new generation.
Yeah, there's a generation of leaders cropping up really everywhere.
Yeah.
Even in Swaziland, I'm hearing there are some people there. Yeah. So I think we're going to take a break because time is up. But when we come back, I want to also just look at that West African situation of rampant coup d'etats. There's a lot of poverty in West Africa. Yes, we're having a lot of economic issues also here. But West Africa is grappling with a lot of poverty. So we're going to look at what's happening there. How can we find out? How can we change this? And of course, much more, guys. Let's go for a short commercial break at just 3 minutes to the top of the hour. We go for a break. We come back. I'm still with Thomas and Miss Farida Wikobede. Don't move a muscle.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
What at the church though?
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought, but it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes, it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
It is the Major Drive. Welcome to our second hour of the show. You can bring in your questions in the comment section. I will be reading them one by one, and our guest Thomas will be replying to those. We were talking about issues of Senegal, and we were pointing out a few people, and we brought out Sonko. If you want to compare Sonko to here, some clean man here is Mugisha Monte in politics. He has clean hands. You cannot trace anything bad that Mugisha Monte has done or was somewhere in a corrupt offense or what. Yes, Edgar, and I am not up for a discussion on that.
Yeah, then you're being a dictator. It's okay.
The only difference that Mugisha Monte is a little older than Bobby Wine, so maybe and Sonko, and that is the only reason why he has no maybe favor of the people.
Let me tell you, why
Edgar,
it's okay. Women don't try to disagree with them.
Okay, it's okay. You can disagree.
What I was just trying to say is that I cannot assure. Okay, Mugisha Muntu is a man of etiquette. He's a respected man, and he's one who has a good profile, right? Yes, he may be a good man as a person, but his history also, it does not speak to being stainless. Because if you say stainless, what was he doing in the bush? That man was there. Hey, was he just eating mangoes? You know, that means they are not really stainless as you claim.
I don't know the man, but you got a point. When you go to the bush,
Since Thomas doesn't know the person we are talking about, I am going to just put a full stop on the discussion. But no, you can go there looking for peace. So,
but then you die. You don't survive. Reach power.
And in order for you to survive the bush, that means you have to kill one who's going to kill you, right? So you kill them. So that does not make you a saint, really. But let's come back.
As a soldier.
Yeah, we were still with Senegal, but I want to just look at the wider perspective of the increasing coup d'etats around that particular area. We still have war that is ravaging Burkina Faso. We still have military coup, I think, in Guinea-Conakry. In 2023, by the way. We're not talking about 1986 or something. 2023. We have gunmen who in Mali right now. I think the one group has been there. Central African Republic is still also tense. Where does this stem from? The violence in that part of Africa?
That's a good question. Let me try to answer with a formula. Democracy do not work. As we speak right now, democracy do not deliver to its people. As we spoke earlier, France have a democratic regime. The French president was elected last year. Last year, he has riots like this year, a year after. In West Africa, also the president was re-elected, his party was re-elected, but people are unhappy. Why are they unhappy? Because democracy, as we speak, cannot handle economic power. Remember back in the day, remember the 70s in Uganda, where Idi Amin could decide in a space of a night to take out all the Indians and reclaim the economy.
Yes.
Can Museveni do that with Total?
No.
Can Museveni do that with I don't know which big American company are here, but KFC maybe, or which other international company, global company? He cannot do such things, right?
Yeah.
So we move from a situation where political power has a lot of capacity to handle economic power and to push it in one direction, on a system on which our politicians, wherever we're from, whatever Uganda or South Africa or France, I believe, have less and less power to handle the economic actors that decide more and more to do whatever the fuck they want to do. And it's a problem. It is a problem because we end up thinking that people like Bill Gates might come and sort out our problems here. Yeah. But that's not the case. We are collectively, politics should say what? Should say collectively, we decide that we want to put our nations, we want to put our people and push them toward a certain direction. Collectively, we believe that this country deserves better and that maybe with free education or with better education, we will push the country better. We decide collectively to do that, right?
Yeah.
When you take out, when right now the politics is not that anymore. The politics is only trying to beg the economic power for some dividend, a little bit of some. Oh, please come and Google, come and open some office in Kampala. Train our youth, give us some bursary or thing like this. So the economic power have the capacity now to do that, when before it was the state that decided, no, we are going to educate our people, we're going to do it that way, we need technicians on this aspect, we need technicians on this aspect, we're training them ourselves. So you have a weakening of the state and the capacity of politicians to act, and a growth, exponential growth of economic power, people with money, right? What we call the 1% wealthiest. So for me, that's why all of those democracies derail. In Ivory Coast, Guinea, Burkina, Mali, part of it is also because the politicians that were there, that we were given a chance in a democratic regime, in a democratic setup, did not reduce poverty, did not reduce like the inequality between gender, did not give like more education to the youth, and so people that side are saying, we tried, we vote, didn't work. Are we going to vote and continue to vote forever? Or are we going to believe someone that tells us something else? And often they believe someone that tells them something else, and that someone is a military leader that says the civilians haven't done the job, blah, blah, blah. But the real problem is who have the money. The state, the politicians don't have the money. So the politicians are you need to imagine a politician in the 60s, he has a big AK-47, massive weapons, right?
Yeah.
A politician today, he has a small shotgun, maybe like that size. They cannot shoot for the same thing. They cannot expect the same result of their politics because the economics is there and is more important. Do you know Total make more benefit per year, surplus of money per year, more profit per year than the budget of Uganda in a year.
Yeah.
So what Uganda spend in a year, Total make more in a year, right? So when he comes and he said, I want the petrol of like Albert, what is going to happen?
Total profits are way better than our 52 point something trillion budget.
Yeah. It's 17 billion dollars.
That's the unfairness of such a.
But
it's not the unfairness. Total, all revenue, all money. I made that calculation myself for recent publications. So 70%, 68% of total revenue come out of African petrol since its creation. So Total came to Africa, to Gabon and Congo Brazzaville, exploited those resources for really low price. It wasn't market price at the time because it was the end of colonial time and there was some agreement made. And they steal. It's legal, right?
Yeah.
But then at the end, they end up with 18 billion. they end up with so
Yeah,
much
legally
profit, so
stealing.
much power. So much power. Those.
And these profits we're talking about, by the way, are being repatriated. The 70 billion that is got from Africa is repatriated back to France, where Total comes from.
And Total is not French anymore because now it's about shareholders. So the direction, the management is French for sure, that we know. But the shareholders, now some of them are in Japan, some of them are in UK, some of them are in Russia. And so basically every bad guy buy a share in Total. I'm not saying every bad guy, but yeah, they buy a share in Total and now they get the profit of this without having anything to do.
No wonder
They don't have
Total
to look
has
at
the
Uganda.
biggest percentage of the e-cop stuff.
Yeah, of course, they own literally the whole thing. Because what percentage does Uganda have? Because I think Total has 60%, and then the other company, I'm forgetting the name, has around 8%.
There's the Chinese
the Chinese corporation or something. So you realize that we are getting meager of really our own product, our own item. Most of them are going back.
And it's funny, I know it's not funny, it's sad, but also like ridiculous to imagine that all of that profit is made since so long in Africa. Total is not like a company that developed in Greenland or Iceland or I don't know and suddenly decided, oh, let's see what Uganda has to say. No, Total is present in Africa since a long time and we know exactly what he has done everywhere, right? So ask yourself, are Gabonese richer now that they have 40 years of Total presence? Are people from Congo Brazzaville richer because of that? No, what happened is that money evaporate, right? And that's what we were saying earlier with the inequality and the power that the economy have nowadays. They can repatriate profit, they share it with themselves, but at the end of the day, 0.1% of the population. The French are not even getting really that rich outside of Total. But Total shareholders are being that rich. I remember during the big Yellow Jacket crisis. So the Yellow Jacket crisis in France started because the price of petrol raised up. And a lot of French people said, but we have Total. Like we're a global, we have a global leader in the sector and we're suffering the same way as anyone else. That's not normal. And one of my close friends was a shareholder of Total at the time. Small shareholders, just $1,000 somewhere there. But during that period where the price rise up, he was given like 3-time dividend from his position as a shareholders, and he get like really quick money really quickly. He get what he has invested in a year and a half, which is really quick, and that's only because those companies can continue to make profit whatever the political situation is. Whatever the economic situation is, we all rioting, we burning this studio. Total is still gonna make money with the fuel we used to burn the studio. It's a sad reality.
Always be getting money.
But it's the shareholders. Back in the day, those type of company were controlled by a strong man, some entrepreneur, right? He started his business, he knows how to drive it. He's in 50s, 60s, and he knows everyone in the field because he drives his business. Now it's not the case. Now, like Total employ CEOs that stay like 4 years, 5 years, and then after that they move to Shell. After that they move to Apple or Google. So that responsibility, that company responsibility, do not exist anymore. Now the responsibility of the company is to bring dividend profit to the shareholders, and that's where our economy went wrong. That's where our economy went wrong.
Okay, let's first get back to West Africa. By the way, when you realize all of the people who are the gunmen who are taking power, they are being welcomed. It reminds me of 1971 Uganda, when Amin had just taken power. People flocked the streets and they were welcoming. And this is a scenario you've seen in Burkina Faso, you've seen it in Congo Brazzaville. People are chanting. But how sure are we that these men with guns are going to do different from the political players that have been in those countries?
So listen, that's what they claim, and that's what the population like, that they say they're going to do things differently. Recently, the president have changed the constitution, president of Mali, a military leader also, Assimi Goïta.
The son of Goïta, the senator.
Yeah, Assimi Goïta. He changed the constitutions. He had some support, but Malian didn't really go to vote. So he won, but low participation level. So we need to. The people, I always believe the people are smart. They know what they're doing. like they can see civilians that they had, they didn't sort out their problems, right? And especially when it comes to the military question. So the North has been invaded by terrorist movements, and the civilians didn't know how to take that problem seriously. So military leaders came and said, no, us as military leaders, we know how to handle the defense situation in the North, and we're going to sort it out. We do not know really what they will do when it comes to actual politics. We know that they claim that they can sort out the security question, right?
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question. What is the meaning of an election in a country that is occupied at 70% or 75%, like Burkina Faso is right now? So those civilian leaders, they were not representing no one. That's also the truth. And they were also failing. Why were they failing? Because they gave too much power to the economy. Why are the military... What does people believe military more? Partly because they think that they can handle the economy. If you look at Doumbouya president, so he made a coup in Guinea, Doumbouya, and he took out Alpha Condé, and when he did so, he said immediately, in 100 days, Guinea is getting back its mine, especially that mine called Sombejun, if I'm not mistaken, gigantic iron mine, one of the biggest in the world, that is supposed to bring money to Guinea for 50 years, right? It's a bit like the petroleum in Uganda, everyone believes in that mine. And that mine is not developed, that mine is not working. So he said, he bring every actors on the table, he said, now we're going to start like the mining. Yes, but at the end, if the shareholders somewhere in Paris or Beijing do not vote for that expenditure, it's not happening. And there's nothing Doumbouya can do about whatever they vote or not, right? So it's that attempt. Military leaders right now, they attempt to retake control of the economy so they can drive the economy towards a particular direction for the youth. Will they be able to do so? I strongly I don't think so. But I don't think the civilian leaders were doing better neither.
Why do I think that you're supporting the men with guns? Are you supporting coups?
I'm supporting... I believe that the current time, it's a time when we have to retake control of economic power. So we need to size Total. We need to size Walmart. We need to size those gigantic companies and say that now you have to also apply certain public policy that are directly coming from the people and not from you shareholders. If you sell plastic to Uganda and Ugandans are suffering from plastic, we can stop that. We can control that. We don't have to let the market do it, right? So I'm definitely in favor of a political power that will be able to handle economic power. Right now, economic power is, they have their best life. They're living their best life, and I don't like it. I can see what they do. What they do is they impoverish the poor and they enrich people that already have enough money to live.
So in order for countries to have democracy or those democratic process, you say they have to seize the economic force or power to control those companies that are holding the big money.
I say that so to control, not to nationalize. I understand nationalization is a problem, but definitely to size control so they can put some policy. Let me give you an example in Uganda, so maybe people will understand that better. Bugoma Forest. Have you heard about the Bugoma Forest?
Yes,
right?
yes. Right.
Fantastic case. Fantastic because Uganda will be able to sell more sugar, reduce the price of sugar, maybe here, even export some sugar, so that export is a lot of tax for the state, which is great because we are fronting a lot of issues, right?
Yes.
But in the same time, that very one is destroying a forest on which a population we're living in, right?
Yeah, true.
And we have made some interview that side. People were using that forest as a pharmacy. For a white man like me, it's complicated to understand, but it seems like there's a lot. No, let's be honest. I don't go to forest to get my pills, but apparently it works as well. It works as well.
Our local medicine works.
No, and people, exactly. And when you destroy that forest, now what you say? You say to the state, build an hospital.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's gonna? So now, a sugar company is making profit, right?
Yeah,
Individuals are making profit from that forest. But then the cost, so not taking so much risk, right? Because sugar is a market also kind of protected. So they don't take risk. And who are having the risk? The citizen, because now the citizens are looking for their government and saying, now we need an hospital because, you know, we used to have those three that help us, but now they don't. So we move to more modern stuff. Where is the hospital? And now the state have to build an hospital when the profit margins are mainly going out of the country or in the end of the few. That's the problem. We cannot have that. We have to have a political power that says, if you want to take my forest, great, take the forest, but build the hospital yourself.
First build the hospital.
And then you cut the forest, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I claim when I said political powers are too weak in front of economic power. They pass their time begging, but you have to imagine in Africa only, there's 54 countries trying to get this attraction of those big financial actors. They lower what they can do.
But can just the Africans manage their own resources? I don't know. Do we always need to have somebody come do something for us? Because this has been a pattern for a while now. You need an airport, come and build for us an airport. Everything. Now we need to drill our oil. We have our oil. We cannot drill it ourselves. We have to. What's the African problem, really?
But so first, all of the resources we're talking about, when is the last time you use a diamond? When is the last time you use gold or titanium or platinum? You did not, right? I did not neither myself. The thing I use maybe a bit of coffee, but that's what I use. So the problem is it's a global production network, right? So what we take here out of Africa goes to Chinese factory, to Asian factories, right?
Yeah.
And so without those factories, your original resources is useless, you can call it like this, right? The question is, why is it that Africa has never been able to bring back those industries on the continent, right? That's the big question. And honestly,
why can't we be assembling phones here?
Because we can't.
Why can't we?
Because Elon Musk is making more money than the whole economy of South Africa. And so as a single person, he can come and organize what he wants because he makes so much cash. So part of it is that inequality that come out of the 30 last year of neoliberalism, on which like some few people have enriched themselves a lot.
Yeah,
they've enriched themselves a lot.
I get you. But that brings me to another country, and that is because you mentioned something about minerals and exploitation, and it brings me to Congo.
Yeah.
Congo, a country that is very wealthy. I think Congo has been rated one of the wealthiest countries in the world in terms of resources and endowment. But when you look at the people, the infrastructure, they are destitute. This area has been marred with a lot of war, even up to today. We are there. I think with the other militias there. Congo is also looking for M23. There are a lot of political players in Congo.
FNLP.
Yeah, and you're wondering really, a country that is such blessed and endowed, why is it that it's still one of the poorest countries we still have on the continent?
Congo is blessed, yes. We can have that narrative. It's blessed of its culture, it's blessed of its mineral, it's blessed of its people.
Even its vastness, it's a very big.
It's gigantic, and it's not like the biggest African country is Algeria, but already 70% of it is desert. It's not the case for Congo. So 60% is actually the forest, which is the most producing environment, right? Congo has been a supermarket. Forget about thinking that Congo is a country. No, that's the first thing. Congo has been a supermarket since it's open. Let me say it like this. Congo, what was the name of Congo after the Berlin Conference? Free State État Libre du Congo. Free State of Congo. Was Uganda called Free State of Uganda?
No.
Was Kenya Free State of Kenya? No. What was making it free? Who was it free for? Was it free for Congolese?
No.
No.
Because it was already there.
It was free for minerals to fuck the shit out and disappear, right?
King Leopold.
And it was free for King Leopold that actually never even went there, right? So more seriously, what happened in the Berlin Conference has set up the trajectory for Congo. In the Berlin Conference, colonial powers said, all Africa can stay what it is. So the UK take a part, France take a part, Germany take a part, but there's one part that no one will take.
Yeah.
That is Congo, right? And how do we make sure that France or Germany or UK don't take Congo? We need to make sure they don't take Congo, because if you take Congo, if France take Congo, that will give them such a strong advantage to fight in Europe tomorrow, that no European power wanted that. So they were scared of Congo. They were scared someone will seize Congo and take it to European politics. So they decided to call it a free state for all, and where everyone can do business. They gave it to the smallest and newest European country, which was Belgium. Belgium is only created in 1830. So new country, small country, they thought, okay, they're not going to do so much bad of Congo. They would allow all of us, the superpower, to come and do the politics that we want. And those politics were highly important. Remember that the Second World War ended with 2 atomic bombs. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's the official end of the war. Were those bombs Americans?
Yeah.
No?
Weren't they?
No.
It's America that hit.
It was Albert Einstein, the engineer that came from Germany, that used uranium from Congo. And it was, yes, an American pilot that dropped it, that's for sure. But the bomb were Congolese. So you need to imagine.
The uranium release.
No, the uranium was from Congo.
The uranium
bomb were not Congolese.
It was a Congolese bomb by many ways. I like to see it that way.
I get where you're seeing.
No. What I'm saying is that Congo has been at the core of international politics from day one. From when Europeans sit together and decided we want to avoid war in Africa. What do? I will give the West to the French, the East to the English. What? But Congo needs to remain free for everyone. Otherwise, it's
because
too
all of
dangerous.
us need to. People
we need that.
All uranium is there.
All uranium is
and
there.
we need that uranium.
Copper.
Our
Do you like Full Metal? I don't know if you like American movies, but if you do, you might have realized that they like their wars, right? They like to portray their war. I'm sure you've seen a movie about the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was made out of Congolese copper, Congolese and Zambian copper. So if you look at the time where Mobutu and Kenneth Kaunda are at the top of their politics, when Mobutu can bring Mohamed Ali to Kinshasa, it's because the Americans are fighting, and the copper, all of those rubber bullets that they have, is coming of Congo or Zambia. So they are key actors of international solution, right? But they never give a chance to say we want to participate. So to finish quickly your answer about Congo. First, Congo, unfortunately, it's a supermarket. It has been set as a supermarket. Congo has never had a strong state able to drive its resources for its own development. It always have drive its resources outside, first to the Swahili coast, then to the Belgium, and now to Rwanda, and America at some point, but now to Rwanda, and then probably Ugandans. Some Ugandans are also probably involved in
we still have our cases there. We are paying somebody.
We are paying.
The things that means. So what is the fate of Congo? Congo is going to always be that destitute, poor, war-ravaged country.
No, isn't there a way they can regain their power to take control of their resources?
If I had a solution for Congo, I wish I would be at the UN trying to explain to them. Definitely, we are in front of a situation on which it is simple for anyone in Uganda, in Rwanda, in Central Africa, in Angola to destabilize Congo. It's just a fact. That's just what we have observed. It's easy to start a rebel movement. Not that easy, but the ADF are in Congo because it's a space where they can grow. It's a space where they can act. Congo is the place in the world on which UN have spent the most money for peacekeeping missions. And are things getting better? No, they're not getting better. Sorry, I think I will just skip that question. I don't know what can make Congo better.
There's nothing. Congo, I think the only solution should be inborn. It should be themselves realizing the potential they have and manning up to that potential and saying, okay, let's do this ourselves. But the problem is there are a lot of political players, and a country that is war-ravaged, it's going to be very difficult for you or to bring these policies up.
But with so much resources, you must think like someone should be...
No, but I feel there's someone fueling the conflict in that country. There's
not just one.
We want it to be, they want it to always stay like that because it's them that gain in that, right? Yeah, with that conflict, there are some secondary players that are gaining a lot.
Listen, what's interesting with Congo is that I used to call it the Netflix series. And because there's always something happening that is absolutely unseen, right? And then you probably have noticed I like to compare things, right? South Africa, Senegal, Uganda. But when it comes to Congo, it's really different. And what's different is the amount of resources available. How small and shrink are the infrastructure. So in Congo, a lot of company they use helicopters to take out the gold or the diamonds or things like this, because there's not even a road. But do you understand how it complicates everything? Because are you going to tax? How do you know how much this helicopters is taking outside of the country? How much you're going to tax? So it's really complicated technically to restore something strong in Congo. But I can tell you that definitely if they manage to get enough revenue from their resources by nationalizing or by saying like, okay, we're okay to have the market for the diamond and the gold, that's okay. But when it comes to copper, we nationalize it. All the benefits have to go to Congo and Congolese. Then maybe they have a chance, because that's the best period of Congolese history was at that time where Mobutu was able to control all the resources of the country via his party, the MPR at the time. And he decided to set roads, he decided to set infrastructure, and that worked quite well. But in today's world, if a leader, if African leader come and said he's going to nationalize the mine, he's going to nationalize the gold, what's going to happen? His money will go on inflation. There will be huge inflations, because now donors said, okay, you can't borrow money from us anymore. So inflation going to rise up, and you and me, we're going to be in the street like sending stones to the parliament to say, guys, we can't. We have to buy Omatoke for 1,000, not for 10,000.
And as the IGP said, we will beat you to save you. They will beat you.
You see?
To put some sense in you, but as we are talking about global trends, it will be unfortunate if we don't mention the climate change, the environmental change. So we specifically, we are going to be looking at the climate financing. Given the fact that Paris Agreement, we saw developed countries pledging they will be financing the developing ones to see them adapt and mitigate.
Financing.
So, yes. So we want to
because
see.
they're the biggest emitters.
Financing. They stole the money and now they finance.
We want to see what happened to the $100 billion pledge.
Where is it?
Is it there? Have they managed to contribute the money? What exactly is happening?
So it was in a Glasgow conference. I think Glasgow was 2018, if I remember well.
Yeah.
19, somewhere
It was
there.
2019 Glasgow.
So it's like 3 years, right? 3 years away, 4 years away. 4 years away.
Yeah.
They said we're gonna give $100 billion dollars, right, all together. And I read statistic yesterday saying that only 40 billions have been spent. And so when there's a new conference that says, hey, we're going to do 200 billion, then people are looking at it, especially African leaders, right?
Yeah.
We think of Ruto in Kenya, Ramaphosa in South Africa. They look at it and they said, wait a second. Last time I checked, Inga 3, you know Inga 3, that gigantic dam in Congo,
Yes.
do not exist. But it's been 80 years, 18 years we're speaking about financing that project, and we know that project only, because the river of Congo is powerful, as powerful as Congolese music, it spreads, right? If they put a dam there, this particular place where Inga 3 is, that we know that all Africa will benefit from that. Right? And yet we cannot find the finance because it is too complicated, too expensive to invest in Congo. That's one of the big questions here. When Congo goes to ask international money to build a dam, people said, okay, you have a certain rating amount, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to pass the detail. But basically, when Congo wants 100, he's going to have to pay it 130, right? So at the end, he paid 130 to get his dam, which means that he needs to find those 30 extra from the economic activity, right?
Yeah.
If the very same dam is trying to be built in the Volga in Russia or in the Danube in Austria, they go and they ask for the same 100 to build the very same dam, right? And they have to pay back 105. So how is that fair?
So what's the difference between Congo and Austria, really?
Finance say it's more the return rate of investing in Congo is not so huge, so we have to make some security, right? So basically, it's because it's private actors. Once again, the economy have a lot of power, and because they have a lot of power, they said, no, we want to borrow our money to Congo at this rate and to Austria at another rate. But now we go in international conference and we all sit like we are sitting here and we say, no, we all need to reduce 30% of our gas of green footprint or whatever. And now Kenya, to do it, it will cost him 25% more than Austria or France, and Congo to do it, it will cost him more. So stayed together last week, 10 days ago now in Paris, and they said, guys, the situation is not okay. That's not okay that when we borrow money, it's so expensive, but now you tell us
It's
borrow money
for us to pay back.
and you tell us we have to do the environmental transition. It is true. It is true. Right now, South Africa, China, they use coal factories, and then it would be better for all of us if they don't. Yeah. But yet they do. So we want we want that transformation to happen, but we want a fair transformation. We cannot ask like African leaders to go and borrow money on the private market the same way they used to finance sugar factories. No. Now the problem is global. And if we don't think about it globally, then we're failing, we're missing. It's not only Uganda that is going to suffer outside of the petrol that come out of Uganda. It's going to be other countries as well. So now African leaders come and sit on the table. It was 10 of them. Egypt, Macky Sall was here of Senegal, and they said, when it comes to public money, when it comes to IMF, World Bank, all of that money that is supposed to be public money, not private actors, it have to be borrowed at the same rate. It is impossible that we continue borrow money from the World Bank and to transform our infrastructure, but the very same another country will borrow money from the very same World Bank at a different rate. That's not okay, right? Yeah. But that's only half of the problem. Unfortunately, lenders there's some private lenders and some public lenders. So that's the conversation for public lenders, World Bank, IMF, and those institutions that exist since 1945. And we need a new financial deal with also private banks, Stanbic, those
but you know, private banks will always be a business of someone, so they always look at maximizing profit. I don't know, isn't there a way we can work on the policies that are in the IMF to bring about equality? Okay, I don't think even equality can be there, because if US is funding 50% of their budget, Uganda, what are you going to say, really? Yeah. So how do you think we should approach this as Africa? Do we have to develop our own organizations to fund us? Do we need to go for the private borrowers or lenders? We've gone to them in Kenya here, and they were giving us outrageous interest rates. So as you are running from IMF, going to another private lender, you may jump the frying pan and go straight to the fire. What do you think?
100%. Alors, first thing I want for everyone to realize that the current financial system, it come out of Bretton Woods agreements. Some of you might have learned that from high school. Bretton Woods agreements was made in 1944 or 45, one of the two. But what is important is that it was made in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks. It took 3 weeks to establish the World Bank, the IMF, and those institutions that totally regulate the development of Europe at the time, right? So Europe was destroyed, and they said, no, we need to make sure there's no more inflation, because inflation led to Adolf Hitler. We don't want this type of problem. We're rebuilding Europe. They rebuilt Europe in 5 to 6 years, and they made the system in 3 weeks. Why is it that we cannot make a new financial system as quick in 3 weeks or 1 month to front the climate crisis we're fronting? A lot of people call it a war. It's a war. We're raging a war on climate as we speak, right? Yeah. And climate is fighting back. Why is it that we cannot reorganize the financial system to say, no, we don't want interest rate when it comes to the transitions. We want to be sure that money is flowing without restrictions. It is possible. So it has been done before, that the financial system was changed really quick. At the time, it was for what? For Europe to be rebuilt. Now it's not Europe that have to be rebuilt. It's the entire world that is suffering the climate change. Exactly. They have to rebuild the bridge of... what was the name of that bridge that was destroyed recently in Uganda?
This one
Karuma,
here, Karuma,
no,
Katonga.
Katonga.
Yeah, that's what they have to rebuild now, right? And so it is possible. We need to imagine that it is possible, but it is also really important to understand that someone with a lot of money will not easily give back. So if we're also in that situation where private bankers are so strong, it is because they have accumulated a lot of wealth towards the past 50 years, toward that system of Bretton Woods. And now those private actors are almost impossible to skip anymore, right? So we have to make sure we find laws that keep them accountable, especially when it comes to taxation, who is taxing who. It's important, but it is important that in our side here in Uganda, we look at how to educate our people, how to make people understand what's happening is the biggest threat of the last 200 or 300 years. But yet, in the same time, it's important all leaders go to those international forums and claim that no, we want to transform our society the same way. We want to protect our people, as we spoke later, or our farmers, the poorest. But in the same time, we don't want to do it in a price, and we don't want to do it in such a way that is going to enrich other people like before.
Speaking of international forums, we've had conferences, COP23, we've had these things. We sit down, we make the laws. But do you think this is really the way to go? Because we've talked about these things, but the problem is really implementation. Where can we bridge really? How can we solve this particular issue of not just talking about these things and leaving them in the books and recommendations and papers, but they don't reflect? At the end of the day, you said they were ordered to pay how much money? How many countries have
100 billion,
how many biggest emitters have contributed, and how much? So how do we start making these things practical? Not just talk about them and have tea, have good food, and then go with our transport allowances.
So that's where we enter the real alternative Uganda, right? Part of the conversation, where we look at really... Listen, when working solutions can be seen in non-violent movement. So I believe that, for instance, like to block the road of Congo, for activists to say, no, physically we're blocking the road, this truck is not passing, this truck of copper coming out of Lubumbashi to Durban, this truck is not passing. We stop giving our resources to whoever comes and has enough money to buy it. Now I prefer to have my copper in Congo, no one use it, rather than having China and Europe getting rich out of my copper. And maybe one day we will know how to use it, today we don't know how to use it, fine. But actually, maybe we should use it to make some bullets, so we fight the rebellions in the east. So definitely, I do think that part of the solution is to physically block what's happening. It's part of it. It's part of it. If you look at what happened in Beirut, the Beirut harbor, right, completely blue. And that have showed a lot of corruptions. It has shows a lot of political corruptions and acclimatation of different actors, blah blah blah. But why can't we us look at this and say, listen, for 1 year we're gonna do a memorandum on how do we use our natural resources, and we're gonna stop exporting it. So we're blocking Mombasa. We're blocking Dar es Salaam, we're blocking Durban, we're blocking Dakar, and those harbors for a year stop working, and we assess what can we do with our resources ourselves, right? Maybe Uganda don't know what to do with petrol, but guess what? Maybe there's refinery in South Africa and in Angola, and we can use those refineries to have cheaper petrol, for instance, right? So there is solutions like this. We need to be creative. We need to know that we are in a time where we can't just implement the solution that have been implemented since a long time.
Yeah, since 1945.
And it has to be in Spanish you say no pasaran. It used to be the Spanish left message, and he said you don't pass, you don't go further, right? And I think that's what we have to do, rather than saying we need to stop ECOP, or we need to stop petrol exploitation. You go there physically and you make sure that the normal process of the economic operation cannot happen. I'm not saying you destroy, because we knew that's I said, but I'm saying you block it for long enough for a reflection to happen on what do we do. If Africa would stop right now right now to sell all of his resources, mineral resources to the world, it's the end of capitalism in 2 weeks. It is clear. I don't know if you remember what happened when the Suez Canal were blocked.
Yeah.
So one single boat blocked African infrastructure. The Suez Canal, it's an African one, right? And then suddenly in Europe, like 10% or 15% of the population lost their job, or at least for 2 or 3 weeks. My own sister, I remember my own sister telling me like she has nothing to do this morning because there's a boat that blocks the Suez Canal, and she has
such a crucial place.
No, because globalization, everything is in an intense flux right now, right? So I don't know about that cup or that pants that you have, but it was probably produced maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it can arrive to Uganda that quick, right? So everything is really in that intense, and so a lot of products are made in China, consumed in Europe, and Europeans' market were just waiting for it to reopen, right? Yeah. So what it means is that when we take and we seize control of infrastructure, or when infrastructure stop working, but here, to the youth, I want to say when you seize control of those infrastructure, you impose a debate. You impose a debate, and you impose to say, okay, Europeans are consuming outside of Chinese workers, and they all pass by here in Suez. What is it that as African we can do to take part of this, or to control some part of it? And right now the control is Egypt take $2 billion out of it. Cool.
But
is it the best we can do?
But also one wonders, why are these developed countries falling short on their climate commitment?
Because that's a really straight question.
they don't want to pay.
No, is it because they don't have the finances? Because they committed,
no,
they
have the
pledged
finance.
them.
Let me tell you, the rich are way much more richer than they ever been.
So why are they falling short?
They really rich.
There's no interest?
I'm not even sure what to answer you. I hope it's not because they're not interested. I hope it's not because they don't understand the problem. But I suspect that when you're comfortable, you need someone to shake the tree a little bit. And maybe they're too comfortable and they think things are going to happen like they used to happen since 1945, which means that they are the one with the money, so they decide what happened with it. And I feel like they haven't sensed that things have changed, and that all of those riots that we commence and we debate will one day be against them. Today it's about Emmanuel Macron. Tomorrow the French might turn out against Total, they might turn out against Renault and bigger companies, and I'm hoping that's where the clutch will happen. Okay.
There's a gentleman here watching from San Francisco, birthday boy Kamoga Franklin Jr. Thank you so much for watching. He wants to disagree with what you said about Elon Musk having the same resources or more than resources that South Africa makes. Do you want to still stand on that ground, or? So
I don't remember exactly the numbers, but basically what my argument is that Elon Musk have accumulated a lot of wealth, right? And such as Jeff Bezos and such as Bernard Arnault, right? And that if those very same entrepreneurs were coming out of the 50s, they would have made way less money, right? Money would have been shared and spread differently, right? So what I'm claiming here is that when the economic system channel all the money, all the wealth, all the revenues towards like the 0.1% of humanity, right? And so what I'm claiming is that they are accumulating so much power that they become more powerful than the states, right?
Yes, that's true.
So I have read somewhere that Elon Musk wealth was bigger than the GDP of South Africa. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, we have the chance to be on the internet, so everyone can fact check us right now. So go and fact check. But really, the question is that okay for a single man to accumulate so much wealth, whatever he does of his life? You know, whatever is a great entrepreneur, whatever he develop new cars, new things, is that okay for him to have so much money? Or would it be okay for him to have less money and for the workers, the people that create the Tesla, to have more, right? Yeah. So it's how we share the wealth.
rather than how we make it ourselves. I like Elon Musk, right? If you watch me from the US, Elon Musk was in a school in Pretoria, right? So he's South African. I like the story of a South African becoming a global player. This is the type of story we like to hear, right? Inspiring stories. But in the same time, I also know that Elon Musk is covering the rest of the forest. Elon Musk is not how people make wealth in 21st century. Most of the people that have money today didn't make it like he did. They have
built it.
No, he has built it. The other people have received it. They get it from their parents. They get it from their family, right?
Yeah.
So I particularly like entrepreneurs that make it themselves. I respect them a lot. But those that receive the money from their parents and receive the business from their parents and claim that they're better than you and I, no. They made it work because they had money. Right? Elon Musk, he made it work because he was smart. I appreciate that.
Thomas, we have 10 minutes, and I want you to use like 5 to just elaborate on the Rwandan, refugee influx. Rwanda so is receiving refugees from United Kingdom, and these people are going to really permanently be staying in Rwanda. Who's standing to gain in this particular deal? Where does Rwanda gain? Because Uganda is the biggest, I think we're the biggest refugee settlement in Africa, a country that has a lot of refugees in Africa. We are the biggest. But how is Rwanda gaining that maybe other refugee inhabitants may not be having?
It's a really interesting question. I don't know how our listeners think of Rwanda, because there's that two narrative in Rwanda. The first one is to say, here is a country that come out of a genocide and developed so quick, so fast, and they're so efficient.
Growing continent.
It's a successful story. And then you have the other side, right? Who says, no, Rwanda have been built outside of Congolese resources. Rwanda have been built outside of a pilgrimage of Congo, of looting Congo resources, and the original money come from mines in Congo. And that Rwanda story is not as beautiful as we want to see. So I don't want to say this is one or this is the other. I think the two are together. But what I know is from this period and from looking at how Kagame evolved from being an Ugandan spy agent to a minister of Rwanda, then president, I can see he has political wisdom. Right, whatever you like him or not, you have to admit that he has political wisdom, right? And so right now we hear about Rwanda for two reasons. The first one is because they are in the last report of the UN saying that they finance the M23 movement in Ituri and North Kivu, right? So what does it mean? It means that Rwanda is on the spotlight. And then on the other hand, we hear that Rwanda is helping the UK to get their refugee crisis problem out.
Yes.
So I think Kagame is really smart, and what he's doing right here is to gain power in European politics. And he says, no, look, if I stop taking your refugee, you're in crisis with your citizens, because they say there's too much too much migration, they say, right? So now he's taking size within UK politics, right? And what does it mean? It means that if the UK want to call Kagame and say, yo, Kagame, what you're doing in Congo is not okay. You can't just send your own soldiers, because we saw soldiers in the M23 and now they fight. It's not okay. That's what Putin did in Ukraine. This is not okay. What do you think Kagame would do? Okay, cool, we stop taking you refugee. Oh, no, okay. So he's building his own power in Europe right now, and he's doing it really smart. You can think of Visit Rwanda in the Arsenal shirt that everyone like. He's doing it really smart. He's smart, but what he's doing is he's taking control of politicians in the UK, or taking control of an agenda of politics in the UK that allow him to stay in power in Rwanda and challenge.
But also Rwanda is also developing when they get refugees to come through. Isn't there like resources that these refugees come with? You look at when we talk about...
is Uganda developing because of its refugee?
No, not at all.
How sure are you?
No.
Because the tax base becomes wide. These refugees are building hospitals, they're building supermarkets.
I think I will have to read this particular comment.
Yeah.
As Thomas highlights on the role of the private sector that you have to play in this whole thing of climate financing. Mr. Norman says, I think such tendencies of wanting to be too rich is literally greed, nothing else. I am sure that God created this planet with enough resources for all of us. We are simply desperate destroyed by greed as preached by capitalists. I
Correct.
believe he's right. Could you highlight on the role of the private sector in this whole thing of climate finance? Now we know that the developed countries, maybe they are not interested in financing. So what role does the private sector have?
So the private sector is apparently getting more and more scared of climate change. So that's a good news, especially on the question of financing climate disaster. So there's like a climate disaster fund, and now like a lot of private bankers start to realize that if there is cyclone, if there is rain, if there is more and more drought, if there is more and more longer rainy season, they also as insurer will have to pay for this. And they start to realize it might cost them money. So that's a good news. That's a good news. I think they start to conscientize on that. I do believe that the problem of the private sectors right now to fight climate change is that the private sectors is set on only one rule, which is to make profit. And it is not true to say that a company like Total can afford to be not making profit for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, so they fight climate. That's not true. They have shareholders, they have CEOs, they have employees that work every day, that go to work every Monday, so Total can make the profit like he expect, right?
Yes.
So I think we need to change that rule. We need to make sure that companies don't have only profit in mind, and that we find a way to size some. Me, what I'm thinking is, if we can size 20% of the capital of Total, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Put it in a climate fund. That money could be used by everyone and reimbursed collectively to Total when the projects are made, right? But we should say, okay, a company as maybe 80% of the revenue that she does goes to shareholders, and it's great, but also the company has a social responsibility, and 20% or 30% of this budget should go towards development goal that the state have choose, not that the company choose, because otherwise you end up with company investing in their own field of business, sometimes for the good, but often to make more profit. We live in a world where the only rule that governs a lot of us is demand versus offer, right? What is it that you can offer? What is the demand? And I think we need to take away that rule. We need to make sure that it's not the only rule that govern our societies. And unfortunately, outside of the last 30 years since the end of the Soviet Union, capitalism is running wild, and no one can stop him. It's only internal regulation. And we don't have external regulation like we used to. We need to bring back external regulations.
Exactly. To just say that let's embrace socialism, let's not embrace capitalism, or just look at a broader picture. Thank you so much, Thomas. We've come to the end of this discussion. In just 30 seconds, just give us your parting shot. Yeah, your parting shot.
I want everyone that look at us to be proud of what's happening in Senegal, and to remember that there is always alternative. And being in Uganda right now, when you speak of politics, a lot of people seems to think that the path is already set, the future is already written, and we just have to passively look at it. And Senegalese is showing us that no, that's not the case. You write your own history, and I really hope and wish that a lot of Ugandans right now take pride in that Senegalese story.
All right, thank you so much, Thomas. Always a privilege and pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much, Farida, and of course, thank you so much to our viewers who tuned in from as early as 8 up to now. It's always a privilege and pleasure having you on the Mighty Drive Show. You can just follow us on our social media platforms at Digitalk TV, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, at The Alternative Uganda, Facebook at The Alternative UGA or Yuga on Twitter. You'll be able to find us there. You can also follow me at Edgar M. Karuhanga, Facebook, Twitter, and all other social media platforms. From the entire Digitalk team, allow me to wish you a good morning, and God bless Uganda.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.